My name's Vanessa Brooks, 35 years old, PR executive from San Diego. And the night I got called trash in front of 200 people, I learned the difference between embarrassment and war. It was supposed to be a celebration, my promotion party, 6 years of late nights, skipped vacations, and defending a company's reputation so spotless it could have been bottled and sold. I'd worked for Devereaux and Finch since my 20s, a luxury marketing firm where image was everything. I'd started at the bottom, literally running coffee to people half as competent and twice as loud. And the woman who ruined my night, that would be Sabrina Finch, my boss, the CEO's daughter, the kind of woman who was born in heels and never paid for her own mistakes. She wasn't just management, she was the brand, elegant, ruthless, and insecure as hell. When I got promoted to senior PR director, it should have been a win for the entire team. But to Sabrina, it was a spotlight she didn't approve of. My success didn't fit her script. She preferred me behind the curtain, the quiet fixer, not the face of the firm. Still, she smiled when she gave the speech. Vanessa has been an invaluable part of our team, she said, her voice dripping with champagne and condescension. I clapped for myself, just to fill the silence. The party was held at the Ocean View Grand. Marble floors, rooftop pool, skyline glittering behind glass. I wore a navy dress I'd saved up for, the one that made me feel like maybe, just maybe, I belonged. Everyone looked polished, powerful, except for the one person determined to make me small. Halfway through the night, Sabrina strutted over with a smirk and a martini. "You really pulled it off, huh?" she said, loud enough for people nearby to hear. From a small-town scholarship girl to a PR queen, who would have thought? Her friends laughed, the polite kind that hides cruelty behind lip gloss. I smiled, swallowing the sting. "Thanks, Sabrina. Hard work pays off." She tilted her head. "Oh, I'm sure, especially when hard work means sleeping your way up the ladder." The laughter stopped cold. My blood ran hot. Every face in the circle turned toward me, some shocked, some amused, some pretending not to enjoy it. I wanted to say something, but my throat locked. I just stood there, clutching my glass while her words echoed. Trash that got lucky. She walked away like she'd just dropped the mic on her own movie scene. I left the party early that night, not crying, no, just quiet, furious, because Sabrina Finch didn't just insult me, she underestimated me. And in the world of PR, the woman who controls the narrative controls everything. For the first time in 6 years, I didn't show up to the Monday meeting. Sabrina noticed. Of course she did. She sent a text. Short, fake concerned, and venom in disguise. "Hope you're not still upset about Friday. It was just a joke. Let's not be dramatic." I stared at the screen for a full minute. Then I did what I hadn't done in years. I turned off my phone. I wasn't going to defend myself. Not yet. Because if Sabrina Finch wanted to turn my reputation into gossip, she clearly forgot who built that reputation in the first place. And PR is a battlefield where I've buried better women than her. The next morning, I went back to work like nothing happened. No makeup, no smiles, just calm. The kind of calm that means someone's already planned your funeral, metaphorically speaking. For a week, I kept quiet. I let her think she'd won. I answered emails, attended meetings, stayed late, and smiled when people whispered. I knew what they were saying, that I'd probably earned my promotion the easy way, that Sabrina's little comment had truth behind it. Fine, let them talk, because every whisper was free publicity for the story I was about to rewrite. See, there's a reason Sabrina's dad had trusted me with reputation management. I'd handled everything from celebrity lawsuits to corporate fraud leaks. I knew how to make headlines vanish or explode, depending on who paid me. And Sabrina had always been sloppy. That woman treated NDAs like napkins and passwords like confetti. Her emails were full of unfiltered arrogance and, worse, carelessness. I didn't need to hack anything. I just needed access to the company server I'd helped build. And I had it. One night, when the office was empty, I logged in from my desk. It was almost too easy. I opened the archive folders, the kind only senior executives could access. Hundreds of PR drafts, client communications, media statements, and a folder labeled Private SF. Inside, photos, messages, receipts, all tied to a campaign scandal from last year. The one Sabrina had miraculously contained before it went public. Only now I could see how she contained it, by paying off a local journalist with company funds and forcing a junior employee to take the fall. Illegal, traceable, and every file was time-stamped with her credentials. I sat there in silence, my fingers frozen on the keyboard. This wasn't just workplace pettiness anymore. This was career-ending material, federal-level fraud, if handled correctly. But I wasn't going to hand it to the cops, not yet. That would be too easy. Number. I wanted her to feel it. The same public humiliation she'd thrown at me, multiplied by 1,000. The plan formed faster than guilt could. Step 1, gather evidence. Step 2, leak a preview, something subtle to spark interest. Step 3, let Sabrina panic and dig her own grave. I transferred everything to a flash drive, locked it in my desk, and went home like it was just another Tuesday. But when I got there, I didn't sleep. I printed everything, highlighted, cross-referenced, labeled. I even created a separate timeline, detailing every payment she'd authorized under false pretenses. By Thursday, I had enough to make her entire bloodline sweat. But I didn't strike yet. Not until the company gala, the one Sabrina herself was hosting, a charity fundraiser for women in business. The irony was delicious. She sent out formal invites, smiling like she'd already forgotten calling me trash 2 weeks ago. "Can't wait to see you there, V," she said in the elevator one morning. "You are coming, right?" "You're one of our success stories," I smiled back. "Wouldn't miss it for the world." That night, I went home and opened my laptop. I drafted an anonymous tip to one of the biggest financial exposé pages on Instagram, the Corporate Confessor. It was followed by every major journalist and PR executive on the West Coast. Subject line: "The Finch Foundation's secret payouts. You'll want to see this." Attached were screenshots of the payoff emails and a single video clip. Sabrina's own security footage, showing her meeting that journalist in a parking garage, handing over a thick envelope. I hit schedule post. The upload time, the exact minute Sabrina Finch was set to take the stage and deliver her speech at the gala. And just like that, the same platform she'd used to humiliate me would become the stage where she destroyed herself. The morning of the event, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized the woman staring back. Gone was the overworked employee desperate for approval. What I saw now was precision, control, revenge in lipstick form. When the lights dimmed that night and Sabrina took the mic, the crowd cheered. She looked flawless, glittering under the chandeliers, speaking about women lifting each other up. I almost laughed. Then her phone buzzed, then another one, and another. A ripple moved through the crowd. Whispers, screens lighting up, gasps. The post had dropped. Sabrina paused, mid-sentence. "Is everything okay?" she stammered, trying to smile, but the whispers grew louder. Someone shouted, "Is this true? You paid off a journalist?" And then the room erupted. Her father's face went pale. The press, invited for coverage, were already snapping photos. Sabrina's perfect life was unraveling in real time. I stood near the back, sipping champagne, pretending to be shocked like everyone else. Inside, I was calm, finally, equal, She'd called me trash in public, but I'd just recycled her entire reputation. And the best part, the caption on the viral post read, "When power meets privilege, truth always wins. Finch Files share women in business." I didn't need to add my name. Everyone already knew who'd written it. The next 72 hours were chaos. By Monday morning, #Finch Files had hit every major news outlet, from Los Angeles to New York. The leaked footage had over 4.3 million views on TikTok alone, the same platform where Sabrina once bragged about being the face of integrity in PR. Now her face was everywhere again, but under headlines like "CEO's daughter caught in corporate scandal," "Charity fraud, Finch Foundation," "Under investigation," "Women in business or women in bribery." I didn't post a word. I didn't like, share, or comment. Silence is power, and she knew that. By Tuesday, Sabrina had locked her accounts, deleted her photos, and vanished from the office. I expected satisfaction, relief, triumph maybe, but what I got instead was a strange kind of emptiness. Because when someone who's hurt you finally falls, there's no fireworks, just quiet. Like the sound after a storm, when everything looks fine, but the ground's still wet and broken underneath. The company went into crisis mode. Meetings, legal reviews. The CEO, her father, held a press conference, distancing himself from his daughter. He called her actions a personal breach of ethics and deeply disappointing. Translation: she's on her own now. I watched it from my office, same seat she'd humiliated me from 3 weeks ago, same building, different power. When the press conference ended, HR called me in. "Vanessa," they said, "we understand you had no involvement in this matter." I smiled politely. "Of course not." Then they added, "We'd like you to temporarily take over Sabrina's accounts and client portfolio. The board believes your professionalism can help stabilize the firm." My professionalism. That word almost made me laugh, because they didn't know the truth, that I was the one who'd set the trap, lit the match, and timed the explosion. But I wasn't stupid. I played the role perfectly, calm, efficient, diplomatic, and by the end of that week, I was sitting in Sabrina's old corner office, staring out at the skyline, holding her former title on a temporary contract. Revenge had officially turned into promotion. Still, there was one thing I hadn't anticipated: the guilt. Not the moral kind, the human kind, because even though Sabrina deserved what she got, I couldn't ignore the look in her eyes the last time I saw her. The panic, the shame, the helplessness. The same look I'd had when she called me trash. The same feeling of being powerless in front of an audience. That night, as the city lights flickered below my window, I got an email. No subject line, no signature, just 2 words. "You won." It was from Sabrina's personal account. For a long time, I stared at it, wondering whether to reply, whether to say yes, I did, whether to tell her she brought it on herself. But I didn't, because deep down, I knew something she didn't. You don't really win when you become the thing you swore you'd never be. I'd spent years cleaning up other people's messes. Celebrities, politicians, CEOs. Now I was the mess, and no PR strategy could spin that. 2 weeks later, the investigation closed. Sabrina was officially removed from all Finch Foundation records. Her father resigned quietly, citing health reasons. The company rebranded under new management, mine. During the press announcement, one journalist asking, "Vanessa, how do you plan to rebuild trust after this scandal?" I smiled. The kind of smile that photographs well but hides everything. "With transparency," I said, "and accountability." Everyone clapped. The room smelled of fresh coffee and new beginnings. But as the cameras flashed, I caught my reflection in the glass wall behind them. Composed, successful, untouchable. And for a moment, I wondered if Sabrina was watching, if she saw the irony, because the truth was she hadn't lost everything. I had. I'd lost the version of myself who believed in quiet dignity, who thought doing good work was enough, who thought revenge would taste like justice, not ash. Still, I wasn't done. Not yet. Because the same media that had torn her apart was now coming to me for statements, interviews, features, and I knew how to use that, how to redirect the narrative, how to turn a scandal into a legacy. So when Forbes reached out, asking for a profile piece, from victim to visionary, the woman who saved Finch PR, I said yes, because maybe I couldn't undo what I'd done, but I could make it mean something. When the article dropped, it went viral. Over 1.2 million views in the first day, and the closing line hit harder than anything I'd written myself. In a world where women tear each other down for power, Vanessa Cole teaches us that silence, when weaponized, can be the loudest form of revenge. They made me sound heroic, but the truth, I didn't feel like one, because heroes don't hide flash drives full of blackmail in their desk drawers. Heroes don't smile while watching someone's career burn. Heroes don't become the story they once tried to survive. But I wasn't a hero. I was a woman who'd been called trash, and I'd turned that insult into a headline. 2 years later, different city, different skyline, I'd moved to Chicago to start my own agency, Cole Strategies, a boutique PR firm that specialized in rebuilding reputations for people who had fallen from grace. The irony wasn't lost on me. I'd spent years destroying one woman's public image, and now I was getting paid to restore others. Karma had a dark sense of humor. Business was good. My name was respected. I'd even been invited to speak at a Women in Leadership Summit, the same type of event Sabrina used to headline. That's where it happened. I was backstage, reviewing my notes, when I heard a familiar voice behind me say, "You're still allergic to small talk, huh?" I froze, turned slowly, and there she was, Sabrina Finch. She looked different, not ruined, just human. No designer labels, no heavy makeup, no entourage. Her hair was shorter, her smile smaller. She extended her hand. "Vanessa." I didn't take it right away. "Didn't think I'd ever see you again," I said quietly. "I didn't think you'd want to," she replied. Her tone wasn't bitter. It was tired, the kind of exhaustion that comes from surviving your own mistakes. We stood there for a moment in silence. Two women who had once tried to destroy each other, now breathing the same uneasy air. Finally, she said, "I saw the Forbes article." "You did well, you could say that," I replied. She smiled faintly. "Good. I'm glad someone did." I expected anger. Maybe a sarcastic jab, but there was none. Just honesty. She told me she was working with a non-profit now, helping women rebuild their careers after public scandals. "It's not glamorous," she said, "but it feels right." For a second, I didn't know what to say, because I realized something. She wasn't the villain anymore. And maybe neither was I. "I'm sorry," she said suddenly, "for what I said that night. For everything." The words hit harder than I expected. I'd imagined that moment 100 times, her on her knees begging for forgiveness, me standing tall. But this was different. It wasn't a surrender. It was closure. I nodded. "Me too," I said softly. For what I did. Her eyes met mine, and for the first time there wasn't hostility, just understanding. Two women who had both lost themselves trying to win. As she turned to leave, she paused. "Vanessa," she said, "you were right, you know. Silence is powerful, but so is forgiveness." And just like that, she was gone. When I walked on stage that afternoon, I wasn't the same woman who'd once weaponized her pain. I spoke about truth, about integrity, about how success without empathy is just another form of failure. And as the audience applauded, I caught sight of Sabrina, standing near the back, clapping quietly. That's when I realized something I wish I'd known years ago. Revenge might give you power, but forgiveness gives you peace. And for the first time in a long, long time, I finally felt free.